So here's some neat features for moving objects around. The first one is the alignment blue lines. So as I move this around, it will tell me that this is centered on what I presume is this image above, and then that horizontal line is telling me it's centered on the other objects. If this were a different size, I could then see, it's the top of those things, or I could align it, I think, to the bottom there if I wanted to do that. So that's a pretty handy feature as you're kind of dragging stuff around. You can also do it when you're resizing. So this will tell me when it's the same width as the object above, or when it lines up with that thing or bumps into that thing. So those blue lines are really useful as you're kind of using your mouse. The next thing are I'm just Ctrl+Z here, the arrow keys to move objects. So if I use up, down, left, right, this will move an object along the grid. I can see up here its position is always moving 10 pixels at a time. If I hold down Control and the arrow keys, I can move it 1 pixel at a time. So I can get really fine precision when I need to. The next thing that we can do are the copy and paste coordinates. So this is mostly useful when you've got layers like this. So here, let's say I wanted to move all of this stuff. Well, let's say I wanted to make this a little bit smaller for whatever reason, and this thing smaller as well. So I'm holding down Shift, and that's trying to maintain the size there. But from here, let's say I wanted now this other thing to be the same size. So what I can do is I can select the shape object and come up to Copy Coordinates, copy X, Y, W, H, and come over to this one, and in the drop-down, choose Paste Width and Height. So that just pastes the height and the width. But let's say I also moved this object. So let's say we took all these things and we move them down here. I'm just using the arrow keys. That's the look that we want. So I'll select the shape again, the outermost object. Click that, or Ctrl+Shift+C does the same thing. And then I can come here, select all these objects, and Ctrl+Shift+V, and that will just copy and paste the coordinates. But in that dropdown, I do have a bunch of more options. I can just do the X coordinate or just the Y coordinate. I can just do the width and the height, or I can do all of them. So for example, here, I would probably paste the X, Y, and the width and the height, and that moves it and resizes it. And then I'll probably need to go back and do that for a couple of different objects. So here I'll Ctrl+Shift+C to capture that. Here I will paste the width, height, and X, Y. And then here I'll do the same thing. I'll paste that, and then this thing is still off, so I could come back here, Ctrl+Shift+C to copy the coordinates, and then select these 3 items, and Ctrl+Shift+V to place them. And this one is a little bit off, so let's grab all of them, Ctrl+Shift+C. It's going to grab the leftmost coordinate and the topmost coordinate. So in this case, this sticks up a little bit, so the point is like up here. And when I come back here, I can select these and Ctrl+Shift+V to place it. So now, as I step through these, everything is placed exactly right. So those are, I think, unique to SmartBuilder. I haven't seen it in too many other tools, perhaps any other tools, but it's really useful. The next one is alignment tools. This is pretty common across most other tools. You've got some objects that are all over the place. I can select an object and then select another object holding Control, and then I can right-click and say Align Center. So which one is it going to align to? The object with the black bounding box icons. So whatever you have selected last. So here I can select these two, or if I selected it in this order, this is sort of the the object that has the primary selection, and so it would align to that. So if I don't want that, I would select this and then this, right click and say align, and then choose align center. I can select all of those, and you can also use some shortcut keys. So if I press Alt, you can see the A is highlighted, so Alt A, and then I can choose the letter M on my keyboard, and that would align them all to the middle of the primary selected object here. So keyboard shortcuts are pretty neat if you like those. So I can also hit Alt A and then distribute horizontally. So I'll press H, press Enter, and then there we go. These weren't aligned properly, but I can again use Alt A C for center, Alt A C for center, Alt A C for center, and then this one looks good, so I'll select this one last and say Alt A M, and now it's all aligned again. Or I could drag it, whatever I feel like. The other feature on the alignment is aligning things in the center. So sometimes when you're resizing stuff, you might not realize that things are slightly off center as you move them around, or it's a little bit difficult to get it just right. So if I select everything, I can say align center horizontally, and that will center it horizontally according to the entire page dimensions. And I can also do that with vertically on the page. Another useful feature is if you've got a bunch of pages and you want to keep a gutter, you might want to go to the master and just create a line object. Like maybe I want to make sure nothing goes past this line. I'll set it to 50 or maybe 40. We'll say 50. So I can maybe, just create that line, put it here on the master, make sure it's set to not start visible, and then I can change how it looks too. So maybe we'll make it green, and I can make it thinner if I wanted to, or keep it at 2. It doesn't really matter. And then when I go to my page, I can see that gutter is always there, and I think I can even attach things to it. Yeah, so it's going to use those blue alignment things and catch that as well, and make sure that it's aligned to that object. I think there's something else that's very close to it that it's catching on, perhaps this button. That's a useful thing. And then when I preview, of course, this isn't displayed because I told it to not start visible, but it's for my ease of authoring, and then I can make it orange or whatever so that it's clear. So when you're moving objects around, it will stick to the grid of 10 pixels, usually. And if I use my alignment, it'll move it 10 pixels at a time. But I can turn that on and off here in the preferences. So I can go under grid spacing is 10 pixels. I can make that 50. And if I wanted to, I could also show the grid. So the grid is that green thing. I've never used it visible because it's pretty rough. But now when I use my arrow keys to move things left and right, it's moving at 50 pixels at a time. And then I can again use Control for my fine precision. So I usually leave it at 10, but I could see somebody using 20 if they have a larger thing, and I've never seen anybody show the grid. But if you want to, you can adjust that grid spacing to a different value. So now it's moving at 20 pixels at a time. You can also turn on and off snap objects to objects and snap objects to grid. So that's when you're moving this stuff around. If you don't want it to be on the grid or snapping to objects, you can turn those off. I think you can just also hold down Alt, and then it'll move it fluidly and not try to snap it to anything. So that's kind of a faster way of doing that. And then when you resize an object, it usually resizes it from the opposite corner or the opposite side. So if I'm dragging the top, it's keeping the bottom. But I can also hold down Control while dragging, and it'll resize it from the center. So if I let go of Control, you can see it's from the corner. Let me get a square shape. So there's an object. I can make it bigger and smaller. If I hold down Control, now I can make it bigger and smaller from the center. So sometimes people like to do that. You can also hold down Alt again to get rid of the snapping, so you can get exact precision if you need to. then the last thing doesn't really deal with object placement, but it is also kind of useful. So here I have 3 different shapes with different sort of styles or modified styles, looks and feels. So ignore the characters. Those are images on top of shape objects, so the shape objects are behind. But if I want all 3 of these to look the same, I can right-click and say Copy Format, and then right-click on any other object of the same type, so these are all shapes, and say Paste Format. And now I have a consistent look to those. So sometimes that's useful depending on what it is that you want to do.